learners, welcome to the 7th lesson of my course Ecology from Cells to Gaia. Today we will talk about mutualistic interactions. A better defended food resource exerts a selection pressure on consumers to overcome that defense. A consumer that does so will become relatively specialized on that prey type, which is then under particular pressure to defend itself against that particular consumer, and so on, a coevolutionary arms race. Plants relying on toxins are more prone to becoming involved in arms races with their herbivores than those relying on more quantitative, digestion-reducing chemicals. The intimate association between parasites and their host makes them especially prone to coevolutionary arms races. With bacteria and their viruses, the process can be observed in action, because generation times are so short. No species lives in isolation, but often the association with other species is especially close. For many organisms, the habitat they occupy is an individual of other species, and this is called symbiosis. A mutualistic relationship is one in which organisms of different species interact to their mutual benefit. Current evolutionary thinking views mutualism as cases of many speciation events. Symbiosis, endosymbiosis, and endogenous symbiosis seems to be the major forces of evolution. Although mutualism themselves have often been neglected in the past compared to the other types of interaction, yet mutualists compose most of the world biomass. Pairs of species from many taxa take part in mutualistic association in which one species protects the other from predators or competitors but gain privileged access to food resources on the protected species. Ants farm many species of aphids in return for sugar-rich secretion of honeydew. The aphids benefit through suffering lower mortality rates, but there are also costs. Where aphids predators are excluded experimentally, aphids grow less well in the presence of ants. Very many plant species use animals to disperse their seeds and pollen, and many different kinds of animals have entered into pollination liaison with flowering plants. The pollinators par excellence, though, are the insects. The gastrointestinal tracts of all vertebrates are populated by a mutualistic macrobiota. This is another example of mutualistic association. The microbes receive a steady flow of substrate for growth in the form of food that has been eaten, and they live within a chamber in which pH and endotherms temperature are regulated and anaerobic conditions are maintained. Most higher plants do not have roots, but they have mycorrhizas. They are intimate mutualism between fungi and root tissue. In ectomycorrhizas, fungi form a sheet of varying thickness around the roots. These fungi are effective in extracting the sparse and patchy supplies of phosphorus and especially nitrogen from the forest litter layer. Carbon flows from the plant to the fungus, mostly exhausts sugar. However, ectomycorrhizal growth is directly related to the rate of flow of the sugar from the plant. When the direct availability of nitrate to the plant is high, plant metabolism is directed away from exhaust production. As a result, the ectomycorrhizal degrades. The plants seem to support just as much ectomycorrhizal as they appear to need. Arbuscular mycorrhizas penetrate within the root of the host. There has been a tendency to emphasize facilitation of the uptake of phosphorus as the main benefit to plants from arbuscular mycorrhizal symbiosis, but benefits have been demonstrated too in nitrogen uptake, pathogen herbivore protection, and resistance to toxic metals. The ability to fix nitrogen is widely distributed amongst both the eubacteria and the archaeobacteria, and many of these have been caught up in tight mutualism with distinct groups of eukaryotes. The best known are the rhizobia, which fix nitrogen in the root nodules of most leguminous plants. Nitrogen fixation is often energetically inefficient, but energy may be much more readily available for green plants than nitrogen. On the other hand, when a nodulated legume is provided with nitrates, nitrogen fixation declines rapidly. The mutualism of rhizobia and legumes, like other nitrogen-fixing mutualism, must be seen in the context of the avoidance of competition between legumes and not legumes. So, at the end of this lecture, I have some other questions for you. First, why are some plants more likely than others to be involved in arms races with the insect herbivores? The second is, what are mycorrhizas and what is their significance? So thanks for your attention and see you at the next lecture.